Nestle has been in Sri Lanka for over 100 years. We have been committed to enhancing the lives of the local community since the very beginning. We purchase hundreds of thousands of litres of milk from 18,000 farmers every day. Committed to increasing fresh milk production in Sri Lanka, we help local dairy farmers produce milk that meets our high-quality standards. Nestle, empowering Sri Lankan dairy farmers.
A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News, live from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Madhushka Balasuriya.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Before we go into your stories in detail, let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Sri Lankan High Commissioner to the UK, Dr. Chris Nonis, says that everyone is fully aware of the recent incident surrounding him. Government MP Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe says that the foreign service of the country is being undermined. Investigations underway to determine the cause for the fire at the armoury at the Mattegoda Army Camp.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa left the island this afternoon for a visit to Italy and the Vatican on an invitation by the Holy See.
The highlight of the President's visit will be an audience with His Holiness Pope Francis at the Apostolic Palace, which will take place tomorrow. Thereafter, President Rajapaksa will have talks with His Eminence Pietro Cardinal Parolin, Secretary of State and Prime Minister of the Holy See. During his stay in Italy, President Mahinda Rajapaksa will meet Sri Lankan expatriates living there and will also have discussions with SLFP organisers for the European Union, Rome and Northern Italy. Minister of External Affairs Professor G.L. Peiris and several other senior government officials as well as the Chief Opposition Whip John Amaratunga are accompanying the President. According to the President's media unit, monitoring MP for the Minister of External Affairs Sajin Divas Gunawardena and Secretary to the Ministry of External Affairs Shenuka Seniviratna are also part of the Sri Lankan delegation accompanying the President.
In a Newsfirst exclusive, Dr. Chris Nonis, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, says that as a diplomat he would refrain from commenting on the recent incident that had led to much controversy. He made this comment in response to inquiries made by Newsfirst over the recent reports that suggest United People's Freedom Alliance parliamentarian Sajin Divas Gunawardena had assaulted Dr. Nonis, which had led to the resignation of the Sri Lankan High Commissioner to the United Kingdom.
Speaking to Newsfirst, Dr. Nonis said that the incident which led to much controversy is a known affair and refrained to comment. He said, quote, "As a diplomat, I cannot comment on the matter. I appreciate the efforts made by Newsfirst to look into this issue," unquote. Meanwhile, in Colombo, Venerable Madhuluawe Sobutathera, addressing a media briefing, also commented on the alleged incident that Dr. Nonis had to undergo.
A parliamentarian assaults a British High Commissioner in public. The cabinet spokesperson accepts this. Those who commit wrongdoings are punished by means of giving them the post of ambassador. This is happening at present. Assaults take place before the police. This too is happening in Sri Lanka at present. If we are silent, country's future will be bleak. Dr. Chris Nonis had made an official complaint to the Ministry of External Affairs stating that he was assaulted. Accordingly, the ministry should investigate the matter. If there is an official complaint, action needs to be taken irrespective of their position.
In a publication in 2012, United People's Freedom Alliance parliamentarian Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe made a prediction about the Foreign Service. Here the MP states that there is a plot to remove 4 competent diplomats from the Foreign Service. The name of Dr. Chris Nonis was on this list.
Professor Rajiv Vijayasinghe, you write a blog, you write a posting on the web titled Intrigues by the Ministry of External Affairs, and you somewhat predict the future of the Foreign Service in Sri Lanka. What was going on in your head when you wrote this article?
To me, the decline of Sri Lanka began in 2010. Till then, we had a very good reputation. But I don't know if you remember when the President had basically to leave England with his tail between his legs, which was appalling. He went to address the Oxford Union, which was a stupid thing for a President to do twice. He was advised against it by a then High Commissioner. Mr. Amsa, the Deputy, advised against this. But their advice was overridden by Shenuka and I think by Sajin. And the president went. The president had appointed a lot of excellent non-career people, which has always been the case in our foreign service, in Sri Lanka, in this case, Danja Telka, Tamara Kunanayaka, Chris Nonis, but they were disliked intensely by these people.
Disliking for what reason, Professor?
Well, I think there are two reasons. One is the natural jealousy of the incompetent for the competent. So that's jealousy. But secondly, my worry is about Shenuka. She's not working for Sri Lanka. You know, there was a massive audit query about her. Who is she working for? Well, I think she's primarily working for herself. But she will use any tool to hand. Now, this lady is actually clearly not interested in Sri Lanka or in the president. Soon after the vote in Geneva, Tamara Kunnagam was sacked, and Shenuka's groupies wrote articles to the effect that the problem was that people like Dan and Tamara had alienated the West, but our real friends are in the West. And this nonsense was being propagated, even though, as you know very well, the motions against us had started long before Dan and Tamara were appointed.
Is there an axis of power within the Ministry of External Affairs?
Well, the ministry has three layers, you know. One is the minister, who's supposedly very good front of house, because of GL's personality, which is, you know, he basically wants to cling to office. So he thinks the people who have influence are the people to placate. So Sajin basically calls the shots in a lot of areas. But, you know, that is GL's fault for not asserting himself.
Is there a conspiracy to remove individuals like Dr. Chris Nonis from their present position?
I don't call it conspiracy. What I think I mentioned there, I don't use the word conspiracy. I think there's a concerted effort to undermine them.
You are a government nationalist parliamentarian, and you are being very critical of the government itself at this particular moment. What is the reason behind this?
Well, simply because I'm in despair. You know, I have great faith in the president. When you talk to him, he's very bright and capable. But no one is implementing anything. Let's put it this way. I have a feeling that at the rate this government is going, all the achievements of the president of 2009 will be thrown away, and I shall be sorry about that.
The prediction made by Professor Rajiva Vijayasinghe was also discussed at the cabinet media briefing on Tuesday.
Rajiv Vijayasinghe මන්ත්‍රීතුමා රජයේ මන්ත්‍රීතුමා 2012 වසරේදී ප්‍රකාශයක් කරලා තියෙනවා 2012 ජාත්‍යන්තර වශයෙන් අපේ රටේ එළවෙන කුමන්ත්‍රණ හමුවේ ලංකාවේ ඉන්න දක්ෂ රාජතාන්ත්‍රිකයන් පන්නා දැමීමේ කුමන්ත්‍රණයක් ලංකාවේ විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශ තුල ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවායි කියලා. එයා කියපු අයගෙන් තමාරා මේ කුරුණාගම විදායි අසිත පෙරේරයි. ඒ තුන් දෙනාම මේ වෙනකොට රාජතාන්ත්‍රික සේවාවෙන් ඉවත් වෙලා ඉවරයි. ඊළඟට එයාගේ
එක්කෙනෙක් දැන් ඉවත් උනේ නැහැ. එක්කෙනෙක් අභාවයට පත් අසිත පෙරවන්න නැතුව. යා
ඉවත් වෙලා ඉතාලියේ ඉඳලා ආවට පස්සේ අභාවයට ගියේ නේ.
නෑ ඉතාලියේ ඉඳන් ආව ඇවිල්ලා එතකොටත් රාජ්‍ය විදේශ සේවයේ හිටියා.
ආ ඒ කියන්නේ ඉතාලියේ ඉඳලා මෙහෙට ආවේ ඉන්දියද?
කොහෙද?
ඉතාලියේ ඉඳලා මෙහි ලංකාවට ඇවිල්ලා හිටියේ රාජ්‍ය සේවාවේ ඉන්දියෙන්ද?
එතකොට අයින් කළා තිබ්බනේ.
අයින් කළා තියුනේ නෑ. ඒ කියන්නේ නැති වෙනකොට අයින් කළා තියුනේ නෑ. නෑ. අනතුව වගකීමෙන්ද කියන්නේ?
ඔව් අයින් කළා තිබ්බේ නෑ. ඒ වෙනකොටත් රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ ඒ විදේශ කටයුතු අමාත්‍යාංශ නෙමෙයි රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ හිටියා.
ඒක තමයි මම කියන්නේ විදේශයේ.
විදේශ සේවයේ හිටියා. ඒ වෙනකොට රාජ්‍ය සේවයේ හිටියා. එතුමා කන්සල්ටන්ට් කෙනෙක් හැටියට හිටියා.
හරි. එතුමා එයාගේ ලිස්ට් එකේ තියුණා මේ ක්‍රිස් නොරිස් මහත්මයා ගැන එතුමාගේ ලිස්ට් එකේ තියුණා.
කාගේ ලිස්ට් එකේ?
රජීව් විජේසිංහ මහත්මයාගේ.
රජීව් විජේසිංහ 2012. නේ මම හිතන්නේ මට අත වශයෙන්ම තේරුම් ගන්න අමාරුයි මොකක්ද කියන්නේ සොයා බලන්නයි කියන්නේ රජයේ සේවයෙන් ඉවත් වීම මේ විදේශ සේවාවෙන් ඉවත් වීම සම්බන්ධවද කොහෙලා බලන්න
රාජතාන්ත්‍රික සේවාව
විදේශ සේවාව මේ තානාපති කාර්යාලවලින් ඒක ඉතින් ඒක එතුමන්ලගේ තියෙන කැමැත්තක් නැත්නම්
ඒ කියන්නේ මේ කට්ටියම එයාලගේ කැමැත්තක් නැත්නම් මතද අයිගුනේ
මම හිතන්නේ මම දන්නේ නැහැ ඒක ඉතින් මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ
නැතුව රජයේ බල ඒක විදේශ
සමහරක් විට නොයෙකුත් හේතුන් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
There may be many reasons. Incompetency. Two of the names you mentioned, they may have been recalled because of the incidents that unfolded during terrorism. This is not the first time such incidents had taken place. I'm referring to the recalling of diplomats. Many diplomats have been recalled.
සිවිච්ච දේවල් නෙමෙයි රිකෝල් කරනමයි කියන එක. තානාපතිවරුන් අනන්ත අප්‍රමාණ නැවත කැඳවීම කරලා
I mean, it's all sounded quite crazy because I don't think any of us were recalled. I certainly wasn't recalled. I served out my term in Geneva, produced a success for Sri Lanka. The president wanted me to stay on for another year. A foreign secretary, Dr. Palitha Kohana, sent me a letter giving me an extension which I didn't ask for another year. And then suddenly it was rescinded. And basically I was sacked. That had nothing to do with terrorism. And then I was called back to serve in Paris when I was at a think tank in Singapore, and I served out my 2 years. The same personalities whose names have been involved in this very sad and shameful episode about High Commissioner Nonis, they started a campaign against me when I was in France, and even sent me an official letter from the Foreign Ministry saying that I had whitewashed the embassy when Professor G.L. Peters was visiting, and that there was that I had done something against the law. But I went on the offensive in the media, and then I was called for consultations to Sri Lanka, and basically I was told not to counterattack in the media. I don't know whether anyone was recalled, and certainly if there was anything to do with terrorism, surely we should have known about it, and the country should be told about it. And why hasn't it been said or known for all these years? This is ridiculous.
Now, monitoring MP of the Ministry of External Affairs, Sajin Divas Gunawardena, was scheduled to speak to the media this morning. However, he subsequently cancelled the media briefing.
Up next is a special segment, Newsline, with Sri Lanka's former permanent representative to the UN, Dr. Dayan Jayatilaka.
There was an incident reported in the media recently where a prominent ambassador of ours, Dr. Chris Nonis, was allegedly assaulted in USA by a member of the government who is a part of the government. What are your thoughts on a diplomat that has been working for Sri Lanka and working for the betterment of Sri Lanka being assaulted in this manner?
Well, firstly, it's absolutely unprecedented, and I have never heard in my entire life something as disgraceful in the diplomatic realm as this. I've never heard of a presidential advice on international affairs, that is an advice on international affairs to the head of state of any country, physically assaulting or being accused of having assaulted a diplomat, certainly a ranking diplomat. Advisors on international affairs are supposed to wrestle with diplomatic policy, not wrestle with diplomats.
If such an assault took place, and you were the External Affairs Minister, what would you do?
Well, I would have sacked the person. If I were the President or the Minister of External Affairs, I would have sacked the person involved and sent a message. Because if this took place, what has been kicked and slapped is not just Sri Lanka's High Commissioner, but the country's international image, its prestige. And in fact, if the incident did not take place, I would have expected that the person concerned, I almost said gentleman, but obviously not a gentleman, the person concerned should have tweeted or sent an SMS or whatever and said, no, this is just not true, this is slander, I never laid a hand on our High Commissioner, it's just not true, I never did this. But there's been a conspicuous silence, and it's very easy to tweet, it can be done. And then we would have known that this story were not true. But it is what is known in diplomatic parlance as a hitherto uncontradicted story.
Now, you've been a veteran diplomat for Sri Lanka. You've served in many countries. What's the protocol for handling something like this from a diplomatic standpoint?
Well, it never happens. I can't think. I know Prime Minister Modi was in New York at the same time. I don't think. I know the Indian ambassador in Washington, Dr. Jaishankar. I don't think he was in danger of being assaulted by any member of Prime Minister Modi's team. And I can't think of this happening anywhere. Not the smallest of countries, not the poorest of countries, no third world country. Cuba, Zimbabwe, nowhere. Because what countries do, Ramesh, is however bad things are at home, they put their best foot forward in the international realm. They have their most educated people. They have their best behaved people. They are most sophisticated people. So.
Now, you yourself mentioned that there's no particular protocol to deal with issues like this in the diplomatic community.
Yeah.
Personally, how would you deal with it if someone assaulted you?
Well, Ramesh, I believe in at least trying to exercise one's legitimate right of self-defense. And having tried to exercise my legitimate right of self-defense, I would have then come out and given I might have given a press conference.
Moving into another one of our headline-making stories. The army says that the cause for the fire that was reported from the explosives warehouse at the Mattagoda army camp can only be determined once the report from the government analyst comes through. Commander of the army, Lieutenant General Daya Ratnayaka, said that investigations into the incident have commenced.
The field engineering camp complex of the 5th Engineering Regiment is located in an urban area in Mattagoda. The camp is bordered to the Mattagoda housing complex on one side and villages on the other side. Locals in the area said that they heard a loud explosion from the direction of the army camp at around 7 this morning.
We heard the noise at around 7:15. It was a really loud noise. Most of the surrounding buildings felt the explosion. We saw a large plume of smoke and the gates to the camp were closed. Then persons who were inside came out running.
Security surrounding the army camp were beefed up soon after the incident and the army took measures to douse the fire. Newsfirst was able to witness the fire brigade also assisting the army to douse the fire. The army commander said that no casualties were reported.
Because all the equipment was stored in a safe manner, no one in the army camp or in the surrounding areas were injured.
United National Party parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala, speaking at the Navalapitiya Balamandala meeting yesterday, said that a group of MPs from the government are prepared to cross over to the UNP.
The government is faced with an issue of taking a final decision because once the elections are announced, a large group of alliance MPs are in waiting to cross over. We cannot walk down a parliament corridor in peace. There are 10 to 15 persons waiting at every step we take. Then maybe 25 at times. We can easily get 15 people to our side following discussions. This is the situation in parliament. We cannot say what will happen. Madam Chandrika is also waiting. She wants the party. Like MP Kiriyala said, many of those from the SLFP, including cabinet ministers, wish to join the United National Party. A total of around 58 persons wish to join us. This Mahindananda who has brought disrepute to you. We are protecting the faith you have placed in us. No matter what situation we face or what facilities we lack, we have never fallen to such state. I do not take any allowances from the Pradesh Sabha. Therefore Mahindananda and I are like the earth and the sky. I heard it on the news. I will be the one who stops Mahindananda's embezzlement. I will steer the United National Party and I will create a situation where Mahindananda will not be able to step onto the road.
Meanwhile, a meeting was conducted by a group of former public representatives citing the need to abolish the executive presidency. A number of former MPs of the UNP were present at the meeting, which was organized by the National Movement for Social Justice. The meeting was held in the Sri Naga Vihare in Kotte under the patronage of the convener of the National Movement for Social Justice, Venerable Maduluwave Sobidatero. Former politicians from the Union of former UNP parliamentarians, including former UNP General Secretary Daham Wimalasena, Anura Bastian, Mahen Gunasekara, MD Premaratna and former MP of the JVP Chandrasena Vijayasinghe were present at the occasion. The importance of an impartial common candidate to abolish the executive presidency was stressed at the meeting.
Leader of the New Sama Samaja Party, Dr. Vikramabahu Karunaratne, convened a media briefing today.
Elections are being held according to the method used in Monoragala. There was no trouble during the elections in Jaffna. In areas where a majority are Sinhalese, they obtain around 60% of votes by instilling fear. Likewise, they obtain 58% of votes. This is the line they are going along. And if there is any problem, they will gradually exclude that district from the election. If we create a major scene in that district, the elections commissioner will casually say that the district cannot be accounted for anyone. So they will say they have won after engaging in such acts.
Minister of Technology, Research and Atomic Energy, Partali Champika Ranawaka, says that the Ceylon Electricity Board will have to incur losses by reducing electricity tariffs without following a proper procedure. The minister points out that although it was said that the tariff reduction was based on the benefits of the Norochale power plant, the power plant is yet to reach its full capacity.
At a conference held yesterday in Colombo, Minister Champika Ranawaka emphasized on the need for a tariff formula for electricity that will meet the requirements of Sri Lanka.
On the 15th, when His Excellency the President declared open the third phase of the Lakwijaya power plant in Puttalam, he made an announcement. He said that the electricity tariffs will be reduced by 25%. However, because we had no established tariff system, many individuals commented on this. Some financial institutions had issued statements citing that they are going to receive relief. But that has not happened, has it? Are you afraid to say it? Persons from the hotel industry and the industrial sector who issued statements are not having a problem. The electricity tariff reduction will definitely cause financial losses to the CEB to the tune of 20 billion Sri Lankan rupees per annum. So, what we expected will not happen. At present, we can generate 900 megawatts of electricity from the Puttalam power plant. Yet, we are not able to receive that full capacity. Although it is said that we will receive an advantage through coal, we will not receive it if we do not operate the power plants properly.
ලාභ ලබන්නෙත් නැති පාඩු ලබන්නෙත් නැති ස්ථිර මිල සූත්‍රයකට අනුව අපට දැනෙන අපට තේරෙන මිල සූත්‍රයකට අනුව අපි
Coming up on the news tonight. Tension is mounting at the Hong Kong government office in the Central District with reports of protesters scuffling with police. Details later on in the news.
There is tangible development taking place in all sectors.
But this year, nothing significant has really come about in terms of FDIs.
When you get so many negative vibes being raised, obviously the investor would think twice or would have some concerns.
So there is no conducive environment in Sri Lanka for a foreign direct investor to come and invest.
I mean, that statement is not fair.
Activists stating that there is corruption within the government which is having an impact on investments in Sri Lanka. Agreed or disagree?
Welcome back to the news. 25 people have been killed as a result of lightning strikes so far this year. The Disaster Management Centre noted that 6 people have died due to lightning-related accidents over the past few days.
Four persons, including 2 women, were killed by lightning at an estate in Paludupalla, Muruvaka yesterday. Our correspondent in the area said that another woman in critical condition was rushed to the Muruvaka hospital and was later transferred to the Mathura General Hospital. It has been reported that a group of employees at the estate had sought shelter from the rain at a temporary shed. The police said that the lightning strike took place when one person attempted to make a phone call via a mobile phone. One of the victims was a 37-year-old father of 2, Leukoddeniyage Amitaratna. A field officer by profession, he met with the tragedy on his first day of work at the estate. 2 other victims, 40-year-old Mariamuthu Ganeshan and Shanmugam Aryavadi, was a couple with 1 child. The 4th victim of the tragedy was 25-year-old Kandasamy Vasanthi.
A temporary shelter or a shed in an open area or barren land will not be a safe place to be during lightning. Staying under a tree at a time of rain is also not safe. What is most dangerous is remaining in close proximity to large water sources. It is also deemed dangerous to be travelling in an open-air vehicle during the time of rain. It is not safe to remain close to metal objects. Televisions, refrigerators and other electrical appliances have been connected to the main electric system of a house. Therefore, it is dangerous to use them at a time when there is lightning.
The Department of Meteorology says that lightning strikes will be frequent in the coming few days as a result of the active nature of the intertropical convergence zone.
The renovation work on a road in the Oliphant Estate in Norelia commenced today. General Secretary of the Citizens Front parliamentarian J. Sri Lanka was a chief guest for the event.
The road leading to the Oliphant Estate had not been renovated over a long period of time and had caused inconvenience to the locals in the area. For over 3 decades, school children as well as the elders have found it difficult to travel on this road. In this backdrop, the General Secretary of the Citizens Front, MP J. Sri Lanka, initiated a program to renovate this road with his funds.
நீங்கள் வந்து வோட்டுக்கும் ரோட்டுக்கும் சம்பந்தம் இல்ல. உங்களுக்கு தெரியும் எத்தனை இடங்கள்ல கல்லு வந்து பறியும்.
The ballot has no connection to the renovation of this road. You are aware that before the election, rocks are brought to renovate roads. However, after the elections, those rocks disappear. You did not vote for me, yet I did not say that I will not renovate this road. It's been 4 years since I entered politics. If I can do so much within 4 years, how much work can those who have been in politics for 60 years do? I'm not telling you to vote for me, but do not vote for anyone who has not served you. Some say that as I am in the opposition, I cannot do anything. However, today I am constructing cultural halls, roads and providing school needs while in the opposition. I did not join the government, but others have joined the government and also taken up ministerial portfolios. I am doing this work without having a ministerial portfolio. Then, how much work can a minister do?
Starting off in your international news, protesters in Hong Kong have demanded that the city's leader meet a deadline to resign today as China warned the United States against meddling in its internal affairs.
Demonstrators who have shut down central areas of the southern Chinese city for 4 days have given Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying until midnight to step down or face escalated action, including the occupation of the government buildings.
The streets of Hong Kong were calm while police largely kept their distance from the tens of thousands of mostly young people keeping up protests now nearly a week old in the heart of the global financial hub. The protesters have demanded China introduce full democracy so the city can freely choose its own leader. At least 100 police officers were stationed near Leung's office. The popular Occupy Central movement presents one of the biggest political challenges for Beijing since it violently crushed pro-democracy protests in Tiananmen Square in 1989.
When tear gas canisters were hurled and smoked billowed out, the Hong Kong protesters had only their umbrella to protect themselves. Ever since then, the umbrella or images of umbrella has become a mark of solidarity. Now, the umbrella revolution has become a form of protest art phenomenon online. Along with the yellow ribbon, this has become an unofficial icon for Hong Kong street protest.
Shutters were down at a majority of stores in one of Hong Kong's most popular shopping districts as thousands of pro-democracy protesters continue to throng the city streets. There was little sign of momentum flagging on the 5th day of the Occupy Central protest, whose aim has been to occupy sections of the city, including around the central financial district, in anger at a Chinese decision to limit voters' choices in a 2017 leadership election. The crowds have brought large sections of the Asian financial hub to a standstill, disrupting businesses from banks to jewelers. The week-long street protests by thousands of demonstrators pressing for electoral reforms in Hong Kong are the biggest challenge to Beijing's authority since China took control of the former British colony in 1997. They were triggered after the Chinese government restricted who can run as the commercial hub's next chief executive or leader in elections scheduled for 2017.
Now in your sports news tonight, it's cricket and the Asian Games. The Asian Games semi-final of the men's cricket event between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka was abandoned due to rain.
However, Sri Lanka progressed to the final of the men's cricket competition in the Asian Games 2014.
Bangladesh batting first for 59 for the loss of 3 wickets in 11 overs when rain interrupted play. Sri Lanka progressed to the final of the men's cricket competition after the toss decided the results. Sri Lankan captain Layuru Thirumane called tails, and this proved to be the right call. After the match, referee Venkatapati Raju summoned both skippers to settle on a result. The gold medal match between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan will be telecast live on MTV Sports from 11:30 AM tomorrow. The 4x400 men's relay concluded with Sri Lanka completing the race in 7th position. They clocked a time of 3 minutes 8.11 seconds. The gold medal of the event was bagged by Japan.
Now, on a somber note, former cricketer Srinath Silva was laid to rest today. Srinath Silva passed away on the 30th of September after suffering a heart attack.
Silva was 66 years old at the time of his demise. A right-handed opening batsman, Silva played domestic cricket at the highest level for 3 decades from the mid-60s. He represented Mortua SC, Coles, Saracens and Bloomfield. Silva was a member of the Sri Lanka Cricket Executive Committee, chairman of this SLC Umpires Committee and president of Catamarans SC. The late Srinath Silva also served at the Capital Maharaj Organisation Limited from 1966 to 1992. I'll see tonight.
And finally, the Department of Wildlife Conservation celebrates 65 years. The department declared 7 animal species as top 7 wild Sri Lanka.
Tonight we'll leave you with the footage of these special animal species. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Madhushka Balasurya. Have a great day.